screen clear for everyone? Is the shared screen obvious for everyone?
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Okay, thank you. We will share our experience. At first, I have no conflicts of interest to declare. We will share our experience in the pathology department in overcoming some of the learning challenges faced during the e-learning approach, which emerged by the COVID-19 pandemic, and we will discuss some approaches that were used. And at the end, I will show you the responses of the students for our designed course, our design tools. At first, our problem was that with the emergence of COVID-19 pandemic, the traditional face-to-face learning transferred suddenly to e-learning. This raised several challenges, and these challenges decreased student satisfaction as reported by us and also by many medical schools in the literature. Challenging limitations reported, or some of the challenging limitations reported, were the loss of students' ability to self-regulate and motivate themselves, loss of socialization and interaction with peers and faculty, and loss of hands-on experience and the ability to develop several competencies, including also the practical skills. Helwan Medical School was no exception for the faced challenges. However, to overcome these challenges in pathology, we designed an interactive e-pathology course during the locomotor module. It was targeting the first-level medical students and was implemented from March through May 2021. And we evaluated the course through students' responses. During the design of the e-course, our focus and goals were to enhance students' motivation to learn and enhancing their role and in their learning and interaction in the different aspects of the learning process. We targeted students' higher cognitive functions, and we were wishing to stimulate students' higher cognitive functions like intellectual skills, analysis, evaluation, and creation, besides application. We emphasize the relation and relevance of what students learn in pathology and the students' future practice. And we wanted to stimulate self-learning and reflection of students and continuously assess the students' learning. To achieve these goals, we implemented several tools inside that specially designed e-course. These tools varied in lectures, practical labs, formative assessment and assignments, and also for the online office hours. For lectures, we used multiple methods. One of the methods used was virtual learning stations approach. Learning stations is a learning approach, an interactive learning approach in which students engage in a series of learning activities distributed on several stations. Students pass from station, or in the face-to-face physical space, students pass from table to table, which are from station to station, and in each station they have a chunk of learning material. They study together, and then they transfer to the next station to study a next chunk of learning material, and so on. In medical education, learning stations are mainly used in the practical and assessment experience of students, but not in lectures. We wanted to give students the same experience in lecture and also virtually. To do so, we used the Zoom platform. We explained the approach to students first, and then in the live online lecture, we distributed students upon several breakout rooms into teams. And we sent them, for stage one of the online lecture, sent them a small chunk of the learning material of the lecture with one or two objectives of the objectives designed for the lecture. Students inside the teams interacted with each other, read the learning material sent, and discussed the material with each other. Then they had a task inside the station. So after understanding the material, they had to apply on the sent task to make sure that they understood the material correctly. After that, we regathered students again in the main meeting room, and we asked the students to share with us their solutions for the task to make sure that they could apply properly. And we clarified any ambiguous concepts within the first chunk of the learning material of the lecture. Again, after that, we sent students to several breakout rooms again and sent them a new chunk of learning material of the lecture with a new task to apply on. And then reunited them again in the lecture to discuss with them their findings and any ambiguous concepts and so on, till the lecture objectives are completed, and students here studied the learning objectives actually by themselves through collaborative interactive learning, right, inside the online session. To know more about or to see the process from students' perspectives, we decided to do a short demo for you now, and we will send you in breakout rooms for station number 1 actually, but please with your mics turned off, you will just be the audience, or you will notice how students interact inside the room and how do they apply in the task. It's a simplified demo, okay? Not the real task, of course, or real learning material. And they will come again here with me to discuss simply and in short the solutions they offered or they got for the tasks. And I hope you enjoy this learning experience. So Abdurrahman, please, can you activate the breakout rooms? Or do I do that? Okay. Kindly, you will see now. You will see now a request to join a breakout room, right? Kindly accept the request. Guys, are we all here?
Yes, room number 1 is here.
Okay, room number 2. Room number 2, are you here?
Yes, we are.
Okay, for station number 1, team number 1, what did you find for the comparison between carcinoma and sarcoma as types of cancer? Did you find any differences?
Yes, and we made a table for that.
Okay, can you share it, please?
Yes, of course. Doctor, can you stop sharing to be able to share this content?
Stop sharing.
Okay.
You can share it.
Okay, please.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's clear. Okay, so after we read the following lines in the paragraphs of the comparison, we made this table, and we compared carcinoma from sarcoma from different aspects, like the tissue of origin and the tissue examples for that origin. Also the blood supply and the metastasis spread and the preferred route of metastasis. So I'll start with the origin. The carcinoma originates from epithelial tissue, while sarcoma originates from mesenchymal tissues. Examples for epithelial tissue is like skin and glands, while the sarcoma mesenchymal tissue is fat, bone, and cartilage. As for the blood supply, the carcinoma has poor blood supply, and that was shown clearly in the diagrams below. They are not here in the table, but it was presented in the case. It looked more pale. It wasn't red, as it has poor blood supply. Okay. However, the sarcoma is very rich in blood supply in comparison with carcinoma, and that's why it looked red.
Okay, thank you, Noor, for that. Okay. So you got the differences, you got the idea of the differences between carcinoma and sarcoma correctly.
Yes,
okay,
sure.
For team number 2, okay. Did you have any differences also?
Yes, we did, and we also made a table for comparison. Okay. We do have a couple different points from them. If you would allow us to share it, please, that would be great.
Okay.
Duha, please start sharing. So they've already spoken about the tissue of origin, obviously epithelial tissue for carcinomas and mesenchymal tissue for sarcomas. We would like to add a point when it comes to blood supply. Since sarcomas already come from heavily vascular tissue, they obviously have a higher blood supply, a higher level of metastasis, and then they would obviously spread by blood a lot faster. That would be their main way of metastasis. While when it comes to carcinomas, they have their blood supply because they are a cancer, but they come from avascular tissue. And since they come from avascular tissue, the blood supply is less. So their main way of metastasis is lymphatic drainage. And when they spread by blood, that means they are in a very late stage, that they have reached a main artery or vein.
Okay, thank you, Yasmin, for that. Okay, so both are contains their blood supply because cancers can form their blood supply in the process of angiogenesis. However, sarcoma spreads early by blood. Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Does anyone have anything that is not clear and want me to explain it? Or did you get the point of the differences between carcinoma and sarcoma? Okay. For those who are raising their hands, questions will be at the end of the talk. Okay, thank you, Yasmin, for that. I hope that guests caught the idea of stations. Actually, very fast, we will do a demo for station number 2. Very fast, just read the definition and start the application. Okay? So, please join the same rooms again. You now have a request to join, right? This is the second chunk of information in the lecture, which is the staging. Okay, most of us are here. I hope that my students managed to show you the experience, the interactive experience of the learning stations. I am supposed to ask students after being in the main room, so what is the staging? How did you apply on that model? What is the staging? And they will tell me TNM, TX, and XMX, and I will ask them, why did you get that? Why did you choose this staging level to make sure that they understood the main and basic idea?
Okay, will room number 1 start or room number 2?
Okay, we won't now discuss your results. Okay, thank you. This is the virtual learning stations. Actually, the virtual learning stations is for the first time is used in lectures in medical education at Helwan Medical School. And for more information, you can review our publication in the Journal of Interactive Learning Environments. It's the Q1 journal in education. The article is now under print and it is supposed to go online within 7 days, I think 1 week, 2 weeks maximum. The second approach used to make lectures interactive is the flipped classroom, and actually many medical schools depended on flipped classroom in enhancing the interactivity of students in lectures during the COVID-19 pandemic. Flipped classroom is a learning approach in which students the learning process is flipped. What's meant by flipped? Normally, students are introduced to the content, new content at school. Then at home, they apply and do projects and homework and so on. In the flipped format of the lectures, students are introduced to the content at home before the lecture itself. And then they practice working through the content inside the lecture, like application and so on. We used also flipped classroom for lectures in our design e-course, and we depended mainly on case-based format to make students use their higher cognitive functions like intellectual skills and evaluation. The third approach used was virtual patient learning. And virtual patient learning is, we use it in a flipped format. We send the student the learning material before the lecture itself. The material was about diseases. It was the locomotor module. It's like osteoporosis, osteomalacia, rickets, and so on. Then after that, in the online live session, we used an approach similar to virtual patients to make them think and evaluate the case and discuss what they think of with the symptoms, signs, pathogenesis, and so on. Virtual patients are defined as a computer-based simulated patients to train students in an interactive way. However, we did some modification with that, and allow me please to say hello.
Good evening, doctor.
Good evening. Who is there?
My name is Amina, doctor. My sister is your patient.
Hello, Amina. How can I help you?
Well, I'm not feeling well at all.
So why don't you visit me at the clinic to get a proper physical examination?
No, I'm afraid I could catch corona. I haven't taken my vaccine shots yet. Don't you have time to help me now?
No, it's okay. So what's your health problem that made you call me?
Well, as I have told you before, I'm not feeling well at all.
What made you call me? What hurts?
It's a long-standing problem, doctor. My body hurts me a lot. It's I can't tolerate the pain.
So you have pain in all your body, and it's long-standing. Is there anything new, or the call is just for the long-standing pain?
Yes. My bone hurts me everywhere in my body.
Your bone hurts you. Okay. How old are you, Amina?
I'm 70, doctor.
70 years. God bless your health. Okay. So are you married? Do you have children?
Yes, I'm married but no children.
Okay. Do you? Of course, you are in menopausal, right?
Yes, almost for 25 years.
So do you take any hormone replacement therapy?
No, not at all.
Okay. Are you a smoker?
No, I have never smoked in my life.
Okay. So please tell me, do you have recent fractures?
Yes, I had 2 fractures in the past year. The first one was at the edge of the foot table. I fractured my right arm, but that was 4 months ago. Before that, I flipped in the bathroom and I fractured my hip. That was almost half a year ago.
Okay, but now you are healed, right? Or do you have any casts present in your fractures?
I took it up a few weeks ago.
Okay, so do you have any other illness, or do you take any drug for whatever health problem you have?
Well, yes, since childhood, I had bronchial asthma, and I used to take cortisone-containing drugs and bronchodilators, but I have been free of symptoms for the last 2 years.
Yeah, okay, I see. Okay, Madam Amina, I will write some investigations, lab tests, and imaging. Please do them and visit me in the clinic. Okay, I will send them right now to you. Okay?
Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much.
You are welcome anytime. Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye, doctor.
Hello.
Good evening, doctor. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Who is talking?
Don't you remember me? I'm Amina.
I'm sorry, can you please remind me of you?
Yes, I called you a week ago because I had bony aches all over my body. And you gave me some laboratory investigations to do.
Yeah,
but the results came out today.
You were the patient that had 2 fractures, one on the foot at the foot table, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you got your results. So can you please send them to me now?
Yes.
Okay, I got them. Okay, your labs are fine, but the imaging shows that you have somewhat weak bones. Okay, so I will write you a treatment plan and a follow-up plan, and you will follow up with me on blood tests and imaging, okay?
Yes, doctor, that sounds great. Thank you so much for your help. God bless you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And now we can ask students, actually we can ask them at any stage of this role play. This was one of the methods used in the lectures in a flipped format. We can ask students at an open discussion at any point, from symptoms and signs to why do you think the patient complains of whatever, what are the risk factors or predisposing factors, what investigations you may ask for. Or what is the provisional diagnosis or differential diagnosis, or even your definitive diagnosis at the end of the case. Students actually were very motivated in this method of learning. They felt like real doctors, especially they were first-year students with too much basic medical sciences compared to the clinical part in the curriculum. So this method was one of the methods that got very good feedback. We also used traditional interactive Zoom-based lectures, online lectures, but they were few. So for lectures, we used 4 approaches: the flipped classroom with case-based learning, the virtual patient learning, the virtual patient simulated role plays, the virtual learning stations, and traditional online interactive lectures. For labs, we use digital pathology. Actually, we don't have the platforms. However, we got some assistance from universities that offer their slides freely, like Leeds University, University of Michigan, and National University of Singapore. And I won't repeat what was discussed in details with Dr. Fatma A, but I will add that we use digital pathology slides and posts in a histopathology format. So this is a simplified report because they were first-year students, but we added the links to the digital pathology slides and posts inside the report, and we asked students to fill some part of the report, and the students felt the relevance of what they take to the future practice because they see the report and also they see a slide while they were taking their e-learning without coming to the medical school. For formative assessment and assignments, we used 2 approaches. For assignments first, we used project-based learning. Project-based learning is an inquiry-based approach based on constructivism theory. In other words, learners construct a product by assembling prior knowledge and experience with newer activities that give them new knowledge and experience. We wanted to target the creation level of higher cognitive functions of students. So, and also we needed to emphasize that students deeply learned the learning material. So we asked them to create e-learning material, simplified actually, e-learning forms like memes, videos, brochures, posters, whatever they like, but with the point that they should simplify what they took. So in order to simplify the learning material, they need first to understand it deeply, right? if someone don't know what is a meme is an image video piece of text, typically humorous in nature, and is spread on social media, like parts of a film or a scene from a play, a film, a match, and so on. So here you can see some selected memes students actually created memes in higher numbers exceeding what was required from them. For example, here for the tumors, they selected this actor with this face expression for fibrous tissues, a normal tissue, but with the benign tumor, somewhat angry, and for the malignant fibrosarcoma, he is very angry. Or maybe here in this meme, in which they quoted a shot from a match, and they tried to elaborate on the idea of that immune system tries to catch the malignant cells and kill them. However, the malignant tumor can escape the immune system and cause immune tolerance. These are also some of the memes. This one is very simple. This is Drake, the singer. This meme was to emphasize that osteomalacia occurs in adults, while rickets doesn't occur in adults, it occurs in children, and so on. For more about the students' perspectives, actually students perceived this method as very fun, and they were very creative. And for more information about the MEMS as a project-based learning, I hope you join us at the next Asia Pacific Medical Education Conference, as we will give a presentation there about MEMS as a project-based learning in enhancing pathology learning. Some students also created somewhat simplified posters, and some students created videos like this one we see rapidly.
Rickets.
So I'm sorry for that. Share sound.
How does it look like? Bowing legs, inflamed peripheral joints, dental hypoplasia, and slow skull closure among other presentations show on children with rickets. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, it is relatively common in Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Researchers have found that in the past 15 years, incidence of rickets have doubled, going from 1 every 200,000 to 1 every 100,000. In Egypt, 2 of the 100 studied infants below the age of 2 had rickets. So, what can cause rickets? Calcium deficiency and vitamin D deficiency and malabsorption. Calcium is needed to strengthen bones, while vitamin D is needed for calcium to enter bones. It can be absent in diet or lost due to spending less time outdoors or having vitamin D malabsorption, most commonly caused by kidney problems. What is going on? Calcium concentration in blood serum decreases, stimulating the parathyroid glands to secrete parathormone, which liberates calcium from bones, resulting in soft bones. Or, if calcium is there but vitamin D
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed samples of students' work. Actually, they were very productive. And actually, we discovered that we can ask students to help us with preparing material in a simplified and funny way, and also that like videos, because the students' colleagues who saw that video learned from it actually maybe was more beneficial for them than that traditional lecture. So, I'm sorry.
Rickets.
This was for the assignments. For continuous formative assessment, we actually assess students after each lecture online via a game-based learning platform, which was the Kahoot. Kahoot is a freely available game-based platform. At first, I want to clarify what is game-based learning. Game-based learning is where learning is mixed with elements of the game. Like, do you see it? A countdown, a limited time to do the task, like having colorful platform or colorful interface, like having thrilling music, like having the element of scores and the challenge. So the Kahoot actually offers all these criteria in a platform that creates quizzes for students. So after each lecture, we created a weekly, each lecture was weekly. And so weekly, we created challenges between students through sharing a link to an online quiz, and students press on the link and start playing and answering the questions. The faster and the correct the answer, the higher the scores. And after that, we got our champions for each quiz, and we to motivate them more, we issued certificates of appreciation for the champions. And now I want you to have that experience to know what students see inside or experience inside this quiz. So I will send you in the chat now a link for a very rapid quiz. We are not assessing you, of course, but to encourage you, maybe you try, you try to use it in your learning context. There is a link for a Kahoot challenge. It will not take a minute. Kindly press on the link and you will find a screen that asks you to enter a name or a nickname. Kindly enter whatever name you like, then press next and have fun. I'm waiting for you here. Meet within 1 minute. If you finish the quiz, okay, I will wait for a few more seconds. Yes, okay, that's great. Thank you, beautiful and interactive tool. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. Actually, I myself, the first time I tried it, I enjoyed it. That's why I decided to give my students that experience. Thank you, Dr. Shuru. Actually, we published a paper, but not in this e-course. Actually, before that, during the face-to-face learning, we published a paper about the perceptions of students using Kahoot, distantly, of course, but in a blended learning platform, blended learning approach. If you want to check it, it is here. And students actually, I think you notice that it is very well perceived. Some students reported that they feel threatened by the countdown and the rapid moving of the timer, and some also reported to me that the music makes me feel in a race, but most of the students liked the experience. And actually, we can do that in a challenge between all students synchronously, or every student can get a Kahoot link like you did now and practice many times during the course on that link, and no one of his other colleagues will know his scores. But in the competition approach, or the Kahoot offers two methods of practicing: either individual personal practicing, okay, or this doesn't share scores with other colleagues, but shares with the instructor, by the way, or the live competition between students. And here all students see the list of winners and see the scores of their other colleagues. And in either way, the instructor can follow the students in their learning and see the scores. So this was for the continuous formative assessment. Let's now see the students' responses. We evaluated students' satisfaction via an online survey using 5-point Likert scale and some close-ended questions with 3 and 4 for satisfactory and very satisfactory, 0 and 1, 0 for very unsatisfactory, and 1 for unsatisfactory, 2 for neutral. We also evaluated the student satisfaction for those who learned the same course via traditional e-learning with pre-recorded lectures and labs. We found that student satisfaction for the designed e-course was highly significant statistically compared to the traditional e-learning of the same course. And for the designed e-course group, 73% of students agree that this e-course is a good alternative to face-to-face learning during the COVID-19 pandemic for the pathology learning. We also asked students to rank each tool inside this course, and all tools got a score between 3.5 and 4 out of 4. However, the highly ranked or the highest ranked tools inside the course were digital slides and bots, histopathological reports, and the online Kahoot formative assessment competitions. For the advantage, we asked the students for their perception about the advantages of the used methods, and in descending orders, students reported that the e-course with the all tools used provided them with more fun learning experience, deeper understanding, more interaction, more motivation to learn, less stressful learning, more focus on details, less boredom or less boring learning environment, longer knowledge retention, and more effective feedback and more commitment to study. For the disadvantage or limitation, as expected, and as we met in this event, the primary reported limitation was unstable network. So, as you see, I think that you agree with me that the used course with the varying methods included in it filled the gap reported of the traditional e-learning compared to face-to-face learning. Students reported the advantages of the e-course include more interaction, right? More interaction in their learning and with their peers and also with the instructor, right? Student-centered learning. Students actually in most of the approaches were responsible for their learning with some guidance of the teacher. More relevance to practice, to future practice, right? Like for the histopathological reports and the digital pathology, and also for the virtual patient learning. And also analysis of the higher cognitive functions like, stimulation of the higher cognitive functions like evaluation, application, let's start with application, analysis, evaluation, and even we reached the creation level by the project-based learning. And all these tools, by the way, were used in distant learning, not in a blended form, in pathology course. However, students' responses were very good. So, in summary, enriching pathology e-learning by interactive activities boosts students' satisfaction of their learning and enhances developing their competences. From students' perspective, however, a point to stress on that from students' perspectives, interactive digital learning of practical skills was the most satisfying. And I think this is to somewhat maybe predicted because students want to feel like doctors, right? From the day one in medical school, they got hit by high knowledge, loads of basic knowledge. However, they don't like that. They want to feel like doctors. So this was our designed e-course. I hope you enjoyed it. and you find some ideas to apply in your courses. And if any one of you want more details, want to apply the course in his or her context, learning context, however, wants more information, you can email me, or you can email me, and my email, by the way, present in the brochures and announcements of the event and was on the slide. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Dr. Fatma, for the innovative and practical ideas presented. I hope this experience inspires medical schools to enhance interactivity in their online pathology curricula. Thank you. It was very nice presentation, really. And I admire it. Thank you.
My pride. Thank you.
Now, time for questions. Please raise hands for any questions. Or in chat box. Mai?
Dr. Ahmed Samir is raising hand, right?
Yes.
Can we unmute him, please? Okay, I will.
Hello.
Yeah.
A special thanks to your attendance and talk. But what about like Hoot, the silent space, as a programmed questions to learn us? Link for connect.
I'm sorry, can you clarify your question? You are asking about Kahoot?
Yes.
Yeah. You're asking that Kahoot is a form of distant learning with no interactivity with the instructor? Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay. Kahoot, as I showed you, enables the students, right, to answer the questions. You have the option, by the way, to add a slide after each question, explaining why this question was right or wrong. You can insert your feedback. This is one point. The second point is that we didn't advise using Kahoot solely in the curriculum, right? We made it with variable flavors. The students has interaction with us in lectures, right, and labs, and in the same time, they got that challenging flavor with the Kahoot quiz in their homes. We don't need to make all the tools used with the same flavor to avoid the boring sensation of students. Imagine with me that we used only Kahoot with the traditional pre-recorded lectures, for example. I think that students may not be that motivated to use the Kahoot, I think, but we didn't do research, by the way, on that, and you may do that. One of the attendees can do a research with one tool and tell us what are students' perspectives. But in our curriculum, it was like a fruit salad with each tool has a complementary effect to other tools. Did I answer your question?
Okay. Now, Maya Ahmed, please. She raised the hand.
Yes, doctor. There are several questions in the chat. Can I read them, please?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a question from Khalid Abu Sharisha, then I will answer the questions in the chat box. Okay,
Yes.
Khalid, I ask you to unmute yourself. Okay, Khalid.
Hi, doctor. I'm asking, I like this part about the simulation where you did the doctor part and another student did the patient part. And I'm asking, since we were talking about integration of data digitization and healthcare, so I'm asking if Professor Ahmed Al-Garhi is still here, can someone design like a simple software that can do the imitation of the simulation of a role player to be able to interact with more students at the same time?
Actually, your question is very good. Unfortunately, Dr. Ahmed is not here. However, the idea of the role play is not in itself my idea. Actually, I got the idea from a software of virtual patient learning, actually, but I found the software somewhat maybe expensive. So my thinking was how to substitute it with something that is cheap and in the same time will stimulate students' minds to think about the patient and will be a nice application for a simplified learning. By the way, these students were first-year students. They don't need to interact with a complicated platform. I know that there are simple platforms, but I think in the stage we were in an emergency. By the way, the COVID-19 emergency, we even if we are in the second year, we are still discovering what are the best methods to teach with, right? So maybe we will not spend a lot of money here, but if we have computer science or engineering stuff that can help us, it will be so good. It will be amazing. They can cooperate with medical staff, and we will provide something at first, even if it is a prototype, will be helpful for first year and second year students who don't meet many patients. So the idea is very good. However, I hope that someone want to share achieving it with us, and I will be more than happy. Even if you, Khalid, know the programming, right?
Yeah, Doctor. Thank you for your answer. And I'm asking this because when we're taking any kind of Royal College examination, especially people who are doing like MRCP or MRCS or PLAB or whatever exams, it's the same role play. It's person to person. So even in the UK, they didn't adapt this software system up till now. And that's why I was asking. Some people like prefer like to have a role player, like a doctor acting as a role player and another one acting as a patient or a doctor for more interaction. Some people believe this is better than the software in this term.
Yeah, this is cheaper actually.
I don't know. I think the opposite.
This is my perception from my point of view, actually, not others' point of view. So thank you. And actually, if someone wants to share with us to achieve something like that, I will be more than happy. We can do an international collaboration, for example. We can connect and it will be so good and will be fruitful for our students. Thank you, Khalid.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Are there any oral questions? Just the chat box. Okay, Mai, please.
Yeah. Shari Muhammad is asking: does it take too long to prepare for this way of teaching?
Actually, the success of any teaching method or anything in life requires a lot of preparation, actually. But this is for the first time. For the first time, when you design instructional methods and how will I teach my students, this will take time. But after that, you will repeat your curriculum over consecutive years or even maybe over consecutive modules, right? You will find that the time is very short. But the first time actually takes some time. Yeah.
Yes. Iman Shita is asking, how can we deal with those students who refuse to participate in the lecture? And what will happen if we have a huge number of students? How can we deal with them?
Actually, we will. There is a theory of autonomous motivation. Autonomous motivation is that we want students to be motivated from inside. Okay, this is different from that you ask, hey, okay, you are good. This is actually external motivation, right? For autonomous motivation to be implemented, you need to explain to students why are you doing that and how will this benefits him. I think this is one of the methods. Actually, I experienced that, by the way. In my previous curricula, I just ask them to do this. And I didn't explain the benefit. I explained the method, of course, but I didn't explain the benefit. But although I was in an e-learning approach, I try to explain the benefit of every tool used and what I expect from them. This increased the students' motivation to their learning. And also there is another way, by the way, you don't have to do everything live. For example, the virtual learning stations, you can use it distantly but will not be interactive with you. But the student may be interactive with himself. Like what? You can record the lecture in the form of station. For example, you can put station number 1 and put the material on the slide. You are having a recorded lecture, by the way. You put the material on a chunk of the material on the slide. Then after that, and you will ask the student to read this chunk. After that, you will write in the next slide the task and ask student to solve this task. And after that, you will insert a slide with the solution and explanation. This is for session number 1. And in your recording, you will ask student to pause the video and to try to read himself and try to do the task. This method does not guarantee that student will interact. Actually, maybe he will jump to the explanation part, and you will not know unless you, for example, ask in the survey, did you or if you monitor, if your video on the YouTube, you can monitor how much time students spend on this video. This may give you a chance to monitor students' interaction with your lectures. There are before that, there are also other methods that make students interact, even if it is not live, like interactive videos presented by a platform called Edpuzzle. By the way, you can insert questions after each chunk of information inside the lecture, and you can make the questions required to pass this part to the next chunk of the lecture. And student will have to answer the question, so you will make sure that he listened actually and got the point. But we can't force students. Students are somewhat, they are adults. You can't force students, all your students, to interact actually, whatever you did. What do you do that you try to enhance their autonomous motivation? Relevance of information to the real practice enhances autonomous motivation of students also. So you will discuss or explain for students why we are doing that, how will they benefit from that, and try to make the information and the method relevant to real practice. These are my advices, and actually, it's not my own advances. You can read more about autonomous motivation theory and how we can create motivation inside students to care about their learning process. I hope I answered your question. And by the way, this method used can be done for large number of students. Actually, our batch is of 1,000 students, but those who agreed to or consented to be involved in our research were the 600. So actually, we did that for 1,000 students. So you can do that, but you may, the Zoom, as you know, has limited free capacity. After that, it needs subscription. Microsoft Teams may be better in the capacity option. However, these methods are all applicable to large enrollment classes of medical schools.
Doctor, can we please unmute Shari so that she can ask her own question?
Okay. Unmute. Okay.
Hello, Dr. Fatma.
Okay.
Actually, it was a very nice lecture. Really, really good. I never enjoyed such lecture like this. I have one question. Did you do this model of teaching from scratch, or you are following an established method by others, and you are doing your own touch on it?
Actually, from the scratch. However, I have a background, right? Because as I told you, I tried the Kahoot during the face-to-face learning, and I found students enjoying that. So I decided to insert it again in my design e-curriculum. The virtual learning stations also, I tried the learning station concept in face-to-face learning. Actually, it was implemented before the COVID-19 pandemic in a lecture in our school. Actually, I got the idea of learning stations, then I applied it in a new context. I found the idea motivating or challenging or fun. So I asked myself, what if I applied it in to my students' lectures and see what happens? Actually, it was like that. And I found students' responses were great, and they were engaged and entertained with their learning, actually. I think I may have medical education basis, like I want students to think, analyze, and create. I have that background, not from myself, because I studied or I read or attended workshops, whatever, but the application and in the different contexts, no, this comes for me. That's why, by the way, you will find that many of the tools used are in recently published research or accepted abstracts in conferences, because they are new methods applied in new contexts. Maybe the method, I didn't invent the method, maybe in some instances, but I applied it in a new context, and I found good results. That's why they got accepted in the journals or the conferences. So you need some imagination, but with a background. What I need my students to feel like or to do. I hope I could answer your question with that.
Yeah, it's a very nice lecture, really. And I think you have done a huge effort.
Thank you.
The work is showing itself.
Thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatma. And
do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.